Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to install the short kit for your SSR4 Mk2. First step would be to remove the handguard. For this we need to loosen the two pinch screws. We don't have to remove them completely, just loosen them, and that should release the handguard. Yeah, there we go. Second, we need to unscrew the barrel nut, which can be quite tight, so we recommend using a proper tool for it. Good. You can remove this completely and then slide out the outer barrel. You can leave the inner barrel hanging in there. It's not that big of a problem. Now that we have the outer barrel removed, we take our fluted outer barrel. In this case, I'm going to use a short outer barrel, but the process is exactly the same for the normal size outer barrel. You will get this little screw in the package, so we're going to install this first. This is the anti-rotation screw for the outer barrel, which goes right here. Good. Now that we have that installed, we simply push on the outer barrel with that screw facing upwards until seated all the way. Then we can slide our barrel nut once more and start tightening. This should go fairly smooth, but you should feel some resistance because of that screw glue that's on the thread. But if you feel like it's binding, don't put too much force. You should be able to do this by finger tight up until it meets the receiver. Now with our tool, we give it a nice tug. Don't be shy to put a little force on it, because that will ensure that it's not going to come loose ever, basically during a game. Now that we have the short outer barrel installed, we can proceed to install the short inner barrel and then the short handguard. For this, we need to separate the upper receiver from the lower receiver. Push out the pin. If this pin doesn't go out as easily as mine, you can use the bit and a small hammer or something to gently tap it out. From here, to remove the upper and lower receiver, you will see that it gets stuck in a position. Don't force it open, because this is the charging handle catching on the gearbox. Press the charging handle, press it up slightly to clear this little notch over here, and then it can come off freely. Good. We can put the lower receiver up on a side. We can remove then the hop-up assembly, and now we can exchange the barrel for the short barrel. To do this properly, we should actually disassemble almost the entire hop-up unit in order not to risk any ill installation of the new barrel. So for this, we remove the spring, we remove the hop-up wheel, tensioning wheel, which you can do simply by removing this C-clip. Then the wheel pops out. And from here, the arm itself needs to be removed, which we can do by punching out this little pin. You can still use the two-headed tool included in the package. That will help you out removing this pin. And we do this so that we remove the nub carrier, which houses the nub itself, this can fall into it if you don't remove it. When you reinstall the hop-up, you might misplace it, and that will lead to bad performance, basically. So that's why we do this process, but it's a simple process, as you can see, so it goes fairly quickly. Next, we remove the C-clip, which you can start from either side, but with a bit of a prying motion, it just comes away. And then we start. There is also the barrel spacer here, which should come off fairly easily. Pry it open a little bit. Okay, good. Now we remove the hop-up rubber from our barrel. We put our barrel aside. We take the short barrel. And to install the hop-up, you will see inside the hop-up bucking, if I can show it to the camera right there, there is a little groove that you might be able to see there, which should align with the groove in the short barrel. So we align the groove, we push it all the way forward, we make sure it's snug and all the way seated. And now to reinstall in the hop-up chamber, we align it with that, still with that groove towards us in the center line of the hop-up chamber itself. If it doesn't want to go forward, just give it a slight rotation and make sure it doesn't catches on any of these edges. And then here I can perfectly show, if I can get a capture on camera, there is that like mold line of the hop-up chamber which should be perfectly aligned with our groove in the barrel. That will ensure the installation is absolutely straight and you should not have any deviation. From here, when it's all the way in, which you can confirm by this little cut being aligned, we can reinstall the C-clip, which will lock our barrel in place in the correct position. If it doesn't clip into place on either side, it's still like a little bit out, while applying a bit of pressure from both sides, just rotate slightly the barrel, like back and forth, until it clips into place. In this case, it's actually clipped into place. Next, we reinstall the tensioning spacer all the way in, and now we can proceed to put together the rest of the system. The knob carrier goes in first. It should be quite easy because it's guided, so there is no wrong way to do this. Then the arm itself, we reinstall the pin. While applying a bit of pressure, you can reinstall the wheel and rotate until it goes into place. And then the C-clip. There we go. We put it on off. Don't forget about the spring. And now we are ready to put it back together in the upper receiver. Like so. We take our lower receiver. Here, same issue. We cannot go forward because of that charging handle stop. We need to go a bit forward. Clear that, and then we can push the receivers together. No force is required while reassembling the upper and lower receiver. We can then reinstall the pin and secure it in place. Good. Now we take our short handguard, which may come already pinched. So if it doesn't want to go on the barrel nut, then take your hex and just loosen the pinch bolts. Now it goes fairly easily. And the handguard is keyed, so it's impossible to install it in a wrong orientation or in the wrong direction. So once it's all the way in, make sure it's all the way in. Now we can pinch the bolts, which we will do sequentially. Like first I pinch the first one, then the second one, then I return to the first one, then the second one. You will feel the bolts tightening up progressively, and once both of them feel quite tight, you don't need to use a lot of force. Then you can rest assured that it's actually engaged properly. From here, the only other thing we need to do is remove the flash hider from the original barrel and install it on our fluted barrel. For this, you can use the two-headed bit that you find together with the SSR4. You don't need to remove the grub screw completely, just enough that you can see it's not grubbing anymore. So from here, then we remove the flash hider. And we do need these components which are on the outer barrel. We need to install it on the new barrel. There is the spacer here and two O-rings. Make sure not to cut the O-rings with the grooves. And if you can catch it, then obviously use something to go underneath it and slide it off. Now we install it on the new barrel. One O-ring goes in first, second O-ring goes in second. Then the spacer with the little groove towards the, like so that you cover the O-rings. And then we start tightening this counterclockwise. We tighten all the way. here. From here I cannot tighten anymore, but obviously you can see the orientation is wrong, so I back off until the little indication is matching the center line of the gun, and retighten the grub screw. You can leave it finger tight, but if you want to make absolutely sure it's not going to come off or it's not going to come loose by its own, you can just use the driver and slightly give it a nice tug. And there we have it. You have successfully installed a full short kit for your SSR4 Mark II. Have fun out there.